Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Drew, quarantined just like you. We're all going a little crazy here, but that's fine because there's never nothing to talk about with American soccer. There's always something that we can talk about. And today, we're going to talk about Landon Donovan and Christian Pulisic. I guess we're going to go ahead and pit these two against each other because Alexi Lalas from the State of the Union podcast on Fox Soccer, he just posted a video a couple days ago, stating he weighed in on who he thinks is the better player. And of course, he went ahead and picked Landon Donovan. And he stated a bunch of reasons as to why he thinks Donovan is superior to Pulisic. And I'll get to that in a second. But first, if you guys are bored just like your boy Drew, then hit the subscribe button down below because what else are you going to do? You're quarantined. Might as well just subscribe to the channel. I miss all you soccer fans out there. I miss soccer. I miss MLS. MLS Mondays were just starting to kick off on the channel. And then, of course, they're gone. But that's fine because, like I said, there's always something to talk about, and you guys can always be sure that I will post videos at least weekly to give you guys some content on American soccer or just to help you guys escape the madness of being locked down in your house. So without further ado, let's just get to it. Alexi Lalas' podcast, he went and talked about, like I said, Landon Donovan versus Christian Pulisic, who he thinks is better. And like I said, he picked Landon Donovan, and the main reason was because Landon Donovan is not or was not as injured in his prime like Christian Pulisic right now is injured playing right now. I thought that was kind of unfair to Pulisic and kind of dumb to state that as your main factor for Donovan to be superior to Pulisic. And also he stated some facts that that Pulisic did not play in the World Cup, which is true, and that he's not done much for the national team. And I'll go ahead and agree that yes, obviously Christian Pulisic did not play in the World Cup because you guys all know how the 2018 World Cup went for the USA. We didn't make it. And we all know that Christian Pulisic really did not win anything major with the national team. But that's fine because regardless, I think that his stats are a little better. And we are provided some nice stats here from Ian Joy, another soccer pundit. I believe he used to be from PN Sports, but I don't know where he's at now. But he amazingly put out some stats here for Pulisic and Landon Donovan at the age of 21. And I posted here on the screen for you guys. And that helps your boy Drew because that means I don't have to go ahead and research all this myself. So a little easy way out here. But as you can see, at the age of by the age of 21, Pulisic 150 club appearances. That's with Chelsea and Borussia Dortmund, 26 goals, 32 assists, 34 caps for the national team, 14 goals and 10 assists for the national team. Great. And all the trophies he's won one German Cup trophy, obviously with Borussia Dortmund. And then we head over to Landon Donovan's section, and we see he's got 64 club appearances so far at 21 years old, 30 goals and 8 assists, pretty good. For the national team, which is the place where Alexi Lalas says that he thinks that, Donovan has been superior, 32 caps for the national team, 10 goals and 2 assists. Not as many as Christian Pulisic, but you got to look and see that he did win a Gold Cup with the national team during his time at the age of 21. And also he's back 2 MLS Cups where he was loaned to. And I believe this is when he had played for San Jose Earthquakes. And if I'm wrong, I don't give a fuck. So a lot of you guys will look at these stats and say, okay, so clearly Pulisic has scored more goals for the national team, but Landon Donovan has scored more goals in less appearances for club level. And yes, obviously that's because Christian Pulisic was injured a lot. He's still injured, actually, and I hope that this quarantine life right now and this pause on everything is going to help him recover physically so he can go back, to his prime. But if we're talking about who's the better player, at age 21, clearly to me it looks like it was probably Landon Donovan. But if we're talking about overall or who's got a bigger ceiling, then it's definitely Christian Pulisic. Landon Donovan had so much potential at a young age. Like, he obviously started his professional career in Germany with Bayer Leverkusen. And I did actually make a video about Landon Donovan's soccer career, and I'll leave that link down below, along with Alexi Lalas' podcast on this topic. But at that young age, Landon Donovan did not really fit in, and he really chose not to test himself in the big waters of the European soccer. Instead, he went back to his hometown where he felt safe to play in the MLS, and of course became an MLS legend. But you guys know if Pulisic went to MLS right now, he would fucking tear that place up. He is way light years ahead of the majority of players in MLS right now. And I think he's light years ahead of quality-wise and talent-wise than Landon Donovan was at 21. So, Pulisic obviously playing in a more competitive league. in the Premier League and then before in the Bundesliga. And he had more success there in the Bundesliga than Landon Donovan did. Landon Donovan did not even make it to score a single goal for the first team of Bayer Leverkusen. He only did really well for the second team, which is like the youth academy team. But for the main team, he really did not show up, or really chose not to give it his all because he was, homesick, whatever the fuck it's called. So if we look at it this way, if we had Landon Donovan in the age of 21, playing in, let's say, the Bundesliga again, or let's say for Chelsea in the Premier League, I don't think he'd be as successful or as talented as Christian Pulisic is currently. Despite being injured, I still think Pulisic has way more talent. He's got way more of a higher ceiling than Donovan ever has. And I feel like having Landon Donovan going back to MLS so early in his time as a professional soccer player really kind of lowered his ceiling there, because he wasn't at the top level. He wasn't playing against the best teams in the world. He was playing in an environment where he was safe and he had a really stable growth, but he really never pushed himself or really wanted to push himself, I feel like, in the bigger leagues. But for Christian Pulisic, if he were to go back to MLS at this age right now, and if he was healthy, he would tear this place up. He would absolutely dominate it, be a top scorer. Nobody could touch him. He'd be the best player there, and then he would obviously, eclipse Donovan's career and honors there. Because if he stayed there his whole career, Christian Pulisic would probably, if he stayed there his whole career, he'd probably end up just like Donovan. Someone who could have been much better, but decided to be safe and play at home his whole life. But I'm glad that Christian Pulisic is playing in the big leagues around Europe, because that's the kind of players we need for our national team. That's the kind of drive we want all of our players from the national team to have. But if you ask your boy Drew, who's better, Pulisic or Donovan? I think overall right now, Donovan obviously is the greatest of all time because he's done so much more for the national team, if you want to look at it in that way. But if you're talking about skill, ability, and potential-wise, it's obviously Christian Pulisic. And I feel like if Pulisic keeps improving year in, year out, every year with whatever team he's going to be in, and starts scoring more goals and winning stuff for the national team, then obviously, by the time he retires, Christian Pulisic will be the best soccer player of all time. You guys can quote me right now. But that's only if he stays healthy and stays playing at the top level, at a high level. Well, that's pretty much it for me. That's who I think is the best player right now. I kind of explained myself and my reasoning as to why. And I would love to know your guys' thoughts down below. Who do you think is better right now? And do you guys agree with me thinking that Pulisic could have the potential to be the best player of all time, beating Landon Donovan probably by light years? Let me know down below. Be sure you guys are washing your fucking hands, and be sure you guys stay inside. Love you guys. Peace.